Hi there. I'm making this video after the 4th of July. It's July 6th today. And I was thinking about all the fireworks we've all enjoyed, but wanting to make a recommendation that you stop the fireworks. But the fireworks I'm talking about are the fireworks inside your body. What am I talking about? I'm talking about inflammation, leading cause of disease, it seems these days, that we're discovering that is linked to so many diseases. I'm Jean Rowe. I'm a nurse practitioner, and I've worked helping people to age healthily and fulfilled for over 40 years. I've worked primarily with women. I love my work. So I'm going to talk to you about that today. And meanwhile, would you consider, please, subscribing to my YouTube channel and leave a comment if you have one, or like this video if you like it at the end of this video today. Thank you. And I'll be making a little offer for you at the end of the video as well for a little information that might be helpful to you in terms of lowering the inflammation in your body. So, what causes inflammation? I mean, we do know that this is a huge problem in this country, so why? Why is it such a huge problem? And they're finding that so many disease states and conditions are related to inflammation, things that you would never expect. I mean, heart disease was one. We sort of had an idea about that in inflammation for a while, inflammation of the blood vessels and how that makes them collect cholesterol to make plaque. But other diseases too, depression, for example, was being talked about regarding inflammation. So is diabetes, definitely. Osteoporosis, bone loss, never would have expected that one either. Cancers, some cancers. So many different factors are being linked to inflammation at some level. So why do we have so much inflammation? It's our culture in a lot of ways. It's sort of runaway, habits and things that we're exposed to, I think, that make a big difference and that have changed in our society over the years. So what am I talking about with that? I'm talking about, I think the biggest thing is high sugar intake. The number one thing that's just endemic, and there's so much denial about with people because they crave it. I mean, we literally get into a lot of sugar cravings, and they're intense. They can really be quite real, but we have to get a handle on that. I think that's the number one thing that sets the stage for a lot of this is excessive sugar intake, and it's hard to avoid sometimes. Like I recently went out for Chinese food, and I was looking at the menu and looking for something that didn't say sweetened sauce or something, refer to sugar in the sauce, like I was going to want that. I didn't want that. There were probably 2 or 3 things on the menu that didn't have that. It's not always been that way. So there's some increase in sugar being added to foods. I find it in the grocery store. I find it even in health food type grocery stores. I read the labels and I think, darn. Like I tried to find a fruit-only jam, for example, that you're always able to get, no sugar added. Hard to find anymore. Possible, but not easy. So sugar is a huge issue. It causes, for one thing, overweight. It's one of the leading causes of overweight, and overweight is the leading causative factor in type 2 diabetes. So there is a big problem. Sugar, though, affects the body widely. It affects the mind. I've treated people for sugar overload related problems for years, and they are like depression, anxiety, irritability, rage, PMS, for the mind symptoms, and generalized symptoms of lots of pain, gastrointestinal problems, that sort of thing. Definitely reduces your resistance to infections too. So get on board with looking at your sugar intake. When it also causes increased abdominal fat, and abdominal fat, this overweight. Abdominal fat itself, especially the fat that wraps around the organs inside, is highly inflammatory. So the overweight, then, as I said, can be linked to diabetes as well, type 2 diabetes. That's a growing problem in this country for sure. So overweight is an issue in many ways. Um, Lack of movement related to the overweight is also an issue. They're talking now in terms of how not only do we see type 2 diabetes rising in young people, but now they're talking about a type 3 diabetes possibly being Alzheimer's disease. Might be they're calling it, some physicians or researchers are calling it Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes. That's terrifying, I think, really, because that does mean, though, maybe it's not so terrifying, because it does mean we may be able to get some control of that we really can take some responsibility for maybe reducing risk anyway. The other thing that is related to inflammation is our high exposure to chemicals in our culture. I know we allow more chemicals in our food supply, for example, than many European countries. Food is a huge source of chemicals for us. It's just, if you start reading labels, it can be scary sometimes. They find that there was just some testing done, I think it was 2009. They tested the umbilical cords of babies and found over 200 chemicals that these children had in their umbilical cords when they were born. That just feels not right to me. It feels like we should address that in some way. And we get so much chemical exposure. We can inhale, ingest, put it on our skin. You will get it by putting it on your skin. So you want to just be careful with what you bring into your home, in terms of chemicals, household chemicals, cosmetics, things you lather on your body every day. Just begin to notice how much load you are having. And please do not have those plug-in air freshener things. They are known to be one of the most toxic of all of them, at least from what I've read. And in my experience, it feels true. But go for cleanliness with your food supply. And that's really something you can do. I've known many people who do that shift over to eating really whole, unprocessed, organic foods, and it makes a huge difference in how they feel and how they live. And that is possible to work your way into that. Another common contributor to inflammation are food allergies or food sensitivities, and many times people do not know they have those. They're hidden food allergies, because sometimes you'll seem to react to it and sometimes you won't seem to react to it. But what that is this allergic phenomenon that's called adaptation, not adaptation. So if you haven't had it for a while, you may react to it. If you've had it every day, you may not notice that big reaction. It's a whole other field by itself too, but food sensitivities cause inflammation. Allergy is inflammation, basically. And that can cause a wide range of symptoms, mental and physical. And I say spiritual too, but I know it's not the origin of the spiritual issue, but it affects how much you're able to kind of access and utilize those spiritual tools, because it messes so with your well-being that you aren't well enough to do things that are good for you. So the other one that I want to bring up, that's something I have worked with a ton, I've treated thousands of people for this, is Candida yeast overload. Now I want to talk about this by itself, but there's a whole part of this picture of the inflammation that's related to the organisms in the bowel, and a lot about bowel bacteria and balancing those. And it's really great to have some nice good yogurt and take a good probiotic. I can't even recommend that more strongly. Take a good probiotic to help normalize the bacteria in the bowel, because they are just being so disturbed by the other things we're doing to our bodies and with our food and all. So do that, and then a good soluble fiber supplement, like I like psyllium husk for my patients, but flax seeds is good too, helps the bacteria in the bowel normalize as well. But Candida is its own thing. It's a fungus. It's not a bacteria. Candida, I have treated people for Candida yeast overload, people with severe problems in terms of depression, anxiety, mood swings, PMS. I started doing it when I started a PMS clinic back in 1982. So I've been doing this work a long time with Candida. It was really probably 90% of our patients, about 95% of my patients with PMS appeared to have Candida, because they got a lot better when we treated them for the Candida. So that was, and I've been doing that work ever since. I've actually got a book on Candida that I'm be finishing up in the next couple of months. Almost done. because I feel like I just want to get the information out there to people. When I write, I usually make things quite simple for people. I like it to be easy so people could actually go forward with a plan. It doesn't seem like overwhelming them with information. So I'm looking forward to having that book available. If you'd like to be notified of that, I'm going to tell you how to email me so I can put you on a list for that. So Candida is a huge issue, and if you just read a little about that, it makes you crave carbohydrates and sugars like crazy, and it will make you crave it. So and getting rid of it is a process, but there's a lot of material around. I have a PDF that I'll have available on Candida as well that you can email me to get if you'd like to have that. Stress is a huge factor, and we have lots of stress, right? Many of us have learned ways to adapt and deal with our stress by meditation and prayer and calming ourselves and eating better. Those things are all good. But stress can cause increased weight just because it increases that cortisol level so much, and the cortisol makes you hold fat, to create fat in your body. So that chronic cortisol, if it's really chronic, then it can make you have poor adrenal function. So then you get adrenal fatigue, and then that's a whole other scene in terms of not feeling well. Other hormones make a difference too, of course. That would be a whole big subject to go into a hormone talk, and I love that, but not today. So all of these things play a role in inflammation, these dysregulations in the body. So I would heartily suggest you look at this really sincerely, especially in terms of what you're ingesting with your food and the things you're putting on your body, your creams and all that, and the things we unnecessarily put on our clothing from laundry products and all. Just to at least start there and begin to take some supplementation like I've mentioned here. Just things that you can do to give yourself the edge in terms of inflammation. I have a product too. I specifically went into this particular business because I loved the product and its effect on inflammation and on helping the gut balance more in terms of bowel flora too. I have that available. You can ask me that by email as well, about that by email as well. I really love it. People are losing weight on it and feeling good, and I like that a lot. So if you want a PDF on the Candida, I'm happy to get that to you. Information on the product I just mentioned, I'm happy to get that to you as well. And being alerted about my Candida yeast overload book that'll be coming out, I will be glad to let you know that. Just contact me at explorehealing@gmail.com, explorehealing@gmail.com. This is going to be good information for you, and I'd be happy to share information with you. And just pay attention and really get honest with what you're doing to your body and reduce your inflammation as much as you possibly can. You will be much healthier for it. Thank you.